Good evening, everybody, and welcome to What's Up, Cuz. I'm your host, Jason Palmer, along with my cousin, the coach himself, Lance C. Irvin. And it must be 6 o'clock because as soon as I come outside, Lance on my head. But now, both you and I both have lighting issues, so we're going to look crazy to our fans and audience out there.
But like the professionals we are, like they used to say, like they say in showbiz, the show must go on. Because I got to ask you a question, though.
What's up?
We socks on your hat, Bulls on your T-shirt. What you have? Cubs on your socks?
I do not have Cubs on my socks. I do not. Yeah, I am paying tribute to both of Jerry Reinsdorf's teams, the White Sox and the Bulls, who are making big moves here in the past 48, 72 hours. And we're going to talk about all that stuff in the opening. And just really exciting times right now going on in Chicago. So we're going to talk about all that good stuff. But let's welcome our viewers. If this is your first time watching What's Up, Cuz, we appreciate you tuning in. If you're watching us on YouTube, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button to our show. It'll also give you access to all the other shows that we have here on Sports Zone Chicago. And you can also download the Sports Zone Chicago app. Now, if you want to download that app, you can go to Amazon, you can go to Google, you can go to Apple iTunes, and just download the Sports Zone Chicago app. That'll give you access to all of our wonderful shows here on the network and all of the personalities we have on the network as well. Tonight, we've got a loaded show. A loaded show. So we're going to tell you who we got coming on at 7 o'clock p.m. We got our guy. He's coming back. He was on a couple weeks ago, and we had to bring him back by top popular demand as the track and field events have started at the Olympics. So Chicago State former head and field coach for track and field, Sudi Davis. He's going to join us at 7 o'clock p.m. tonight to talk about that. But then coming up at 6:30, you got us a great guest. Tell them who's coming on at 6:30, man.
My man from the Can Charge G League affiliate of the Cleveland Cavaliers, my guy, Brian Tabali. And Brian is a guy, I've been knowing him for a while. He graduated from Michigan State. He coached at University of Missouri. He was just formerly of Cleveland State a couple of years ago. And just wanted to talk to him about the experience in the draft room. And let's talk about some of his coaching career and his scouting career, Jay. So we have a loaded guests. And I can't wait to talk to you about some of these trades and some of this other stuff in the sports world. Jay, it's been a crazy week.
It has definitely been a crazy week. It really has, and I'm really looking forward to talking to Brian Tabali. I know we have a lot of our followers on Twitter who are interested to hear what Coach Tabali has to say. I put it out there earlier for a lot of the players and coaches and just the general fans who wonder what an NBA scout looks for. Mm-hmm. Brian Tabali is a scout. He's one of those guys who can tell you what he's looking for in a player and how they think a player will make it to the next level. So Brian is going to join us at 6:30. So he'll be up in about 25 minutes here, and he's going to really share some knowledge because, a lot of times the general fans wonder what a scout is looking for. And they say, oh, well, why didn't they draft this guy? Why didn't they draft that guy? So you're going to hear from a guy who tells you what he's looking for. So I think he's going to be an important guest that we can bring to our viewers today. So looking forward to having Brian come on at 6:30 and then Sudi at 7 o'clock. But for you and I, man, let's get into some of these topics.
What are we getting into?
Well, it's breaking news. Breaking news that happened right before we came on the air here today. They made it official. The Chicago Bulls are getting Lonzo Ball in a trade from the New Orleans Pelicans. It's a sign and trade deal. I believe the deal was worth like 4 years, $85 million. Ooh,
4 years, $85 million.
I'll take that money, baby. I'll take that money all day long. 4 years, $85 million. The Chicago Bulls get the point guard. We all know that they need it in Lonzo Ball. I knew about it a couple hours ago. I posted it on my private Facebook page. But they just made it official about maybe an hour ago. And Lance, just your thoughts on Lonzo Ball now coming to the Bulls.
I mean, after the draft, Jay, talking to different scouts and different people around the NBA, one thing they kept saying, they was happy that the Bulls took Io. Mm-hmm. But it was a but. They said, now, the Bulls trying to pick up a point guard in free agency. They said the Bulls need one, and they actively looking for one. So they picked up Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball had a great year if you're thinking about just his year, Jay. I mean, he went from a guy that was maybe shooting in the sub-20s from the three-point line. This year, I think he shot like 38%. So his shooting picked up behind the three-point arc. He didn't turn the ball over like he turned the ball over several years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Man, Jay, he had a good year, and I think he averaged like 15 points a game. So, I mean, I'm happy for the Bulls if they think they got the point guard that they really needed. And I like Lonzo Ball. I think he's a good point guard. And from the Bulls, for the Bulls, they got what they needed. They said they wanted a veteran point guard, so they have a veteran point guard. Somebody I think Io could probably learn from him also, and you could play those two at the same time. I think Lonzo about 6'6", 6'5", 6'6". Io is 6'6".
Mm-hmm.
Satoransky is like 6'6", 6'7". So I think they have some nice height in their backcourt. So shout out to Lonzo Ball getting his bag. Because these guys getting their bags, Jay.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. So let's talk about this a lot more, Lance. I know a lot of people really want to hear your thoughts on this. And hello to Gordon, our good friend Gordon Voigt. Hello to Patty. Just so many people out there. Our guy Armando is checking in, and everybody wants to hear your thoughts on Lonzo. So let's go ahead and really kind of dig into this, because now my question is, who's expendable? Okay, so I think that's a good question. My girl Okima even asked me that. Who we getting rid of? We can't play all these damn guards, so somebody got to go. So go ahead, break it down for me. Who you think getting ready to leave?
I mean, playing semi-general manager, I don't know, because that's a tough question. But like we mentioned, you have a young Kobe White over there. Mm-hmm. Kobe White is only going into his third year. There's people screaming that he's a shot-first point guard. Well, Kobe White was North Carolina's leading scorer coming out of high school, and even in college, he was a scorer. You have Satoransky over there, who we just talked about. Now you have Io. Now you have Denzel Valentine still is in the backcourt too.
Yeah.
Don't
forget our all-star.
Zach. I mean, I wasn't even gonna mention Zach. I mean, it's known Zach is still there. Somebody is leaving. If I was a bad man, it's tough. Denzel Valentine, maybe, because I think he's a restricted free agent, if I'm not mistaken. So, Valentine, just by thinking, I would probably think Valentine probably be the odd man out.
Okay, and see, I'm going to say Kobe White is going to be the odd man out. I think because he's got the most value for you. I think he's got the most upside, and he can get you more in return. So I'm going to say it's going to end up being Kobe White. I think Kobe last year, he was really kind of sporadic, lost a lot of his consistency. And I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting him to get actually more consistent, but he seemed to just not flow well with new coach Billy Donovan's system. So I'm going to say Kobe is out. I'm going to say they're going to trade him for either a draft pick of some sort, or perhaps they're going to trade him for another post player, someone who can come in and back up our starting center and still get us some points at the post. Whatever you do, I think Kobe can get you some value here. So that's who I'm going to go with.
Let me stop right there, cuz.
Okay.
Stop right there. The reason why I wouldn't give up on Kobe White, and I'm not saying that you're wrong, Kobe reminds me of Chauncey Billups. Chauncey Billups at Boston, things weren't really working out right. And I think they gave up on Chauncey too early. I've been to watch the Bulls practice several times. Mm-hmm. I mean, Kobe, most point guards scoring these days anyway. Kobe White can pass it at a high level. He can shoot the long ball. He can get to the basket, and he can finish. So I don't know if I give up on Kobe White right now. I mean, he's a good player, but I do agree with what you said. You could probably get something for him. You could probably, via trade or something like that. But I think Kobe White is kind of like that third scorer, kind of like Mo Williams was, kind of like Lemon Pepper Lou. You know how you need another guy that can get his own shot. Kobe can get his own shot.
Sure.
Kobe can shoot it, and Kobe can finish. And Kobe has size too. So I'm not sure you want to give up on a guy like that at this point in time. If you look at the Bucks, right? True Valentine can get his own shot off, right?
Mm-hmm.
Chris Middleton can get his own shot off.
Sure can. Yeah.
Those guys that can get their own shots off and create for others, I think that, man, I just think that's tough. I'm not saying you're wrong, though, but
Mm-hmm.
I think it's
Well,
tough.
I think it's going to be interesting. I do think, and I kind of want to go back to Lonzo a little bit in terms of how this is going to help the Bulls, and just get your thoughts.
Okay.
What can we expect with him now, getting ready to be their starting point guard? How is he going to make all these other players out there, better?
I'm thinking about Jay when we were on the show like in the middle of the season, and one thing we talked about, they was turning the ball over too much. Like they calmed down a little bit, but the ball was going all over the place. So one thing that you have in Lonzo Ball is that, like I mentioned earlier, he's not turning the ball over, so we don't have to worry about turnovers. Lonzo Ball is a very good defensive player. Also, you never heard anybody question his defense. The only thing you heard about Lonzo, they were saying what he had to work on his shot. No one never said he couldn't play defense. He's a smart player also, and he knows how to run an offense. He did a great job running the offense for them last year. So I think you're getting a player that's smart. You're getting a player that can guard. You getting a player that knows how to pass the ball and set the guys up where they wanted, where they needed to score. So if they do keep Kobe White, now you have Kobe off the ball. Now you have another scorer out there too. You play him and Kobe at the same time. Now you have two guys with size, like we mentioned with Io, that can handle the ball. So they're getting a good locker room guy also. You never heard anybody saying he's terrible in the locker room. And my last point about him, he was just in LA now. And you know how that media is in LA. So you have a guy that could probably do well. He would do well with the media in Chicago. You know, it's a lot of haters in Chicago too now. So you know, you got to be scared to play in Chicago.
I think the funny thing you said is that he's a great locker room guy, and I agree with that. As long as his daddy ain't in the locker room, we'll be fine. But I think his father is really kind of taking a step back over the last year or two, basically because his sons kind of felt like, look, dude, you putting too much pressure on us. So I am glad to see that Mr. Ball is taking a little bit of a step back just in terms of what his sons are doing. So I'm really looking forward to that. So yeah, that's the big news today, that the Bulls have gotten Lonzo Ball in a sign and trade agreement.
Not to cut you off, but when you talk about his daddy is a good marketing guy now.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He put the heat on his sons, but he's one of the best marketers out there.
Oh, he getting that family paid, man.
Jay.
Well, and it's funny. Well, it's funny because I talk with my wife a lot about this stuff, and just people in general. And people, it's real finicky what people do. And I keep telling them the movie King Richard is coming out in November. It's about Richard Williams, the father of Serena and Venus Williams. I mean, you look at his tactics. People didn't like it. People didn't like Earl Woods' tactics with what he was doing with Tiger Woods. People didn't like Naomi Osaka dad, his tactics, when he and the wife said they knew when she was in the mother's womb she was going to be a tennis star. LeVar Ball, same thing. What you'll notice is that these are African-American fathers who push their kids to the limit, that they shouldn't be pushing them like this. Oh, they pushing them too hard, blah, blah, blah. All I'm going to say is they push these kids, and these kids end up being great. And these kids don't quit on themselves, and they just keep going and going and going and going and going. So I think it says a lot about fathers and athletes. Fathers are usually there. Your mothers play a role too. Don't get me wrong. I don't want ladies bombarding me with stuff, but fathers do something a little bit different with their kids when it comes to athletics. Your father's that one who's going to push you through when you think you can't do it, or if you being lazy. Whereas your mother sometimes tend to be like, oh, baby, come on, blah, blah, blah. And that has a role too, to make sure that there's a balance, that the father isn't kind of going overboard with it. But a lot of times you're seeing these great athletes who are just being pushed because they got a good, strong father behind them, and your father can push you through when you want to give up, when you want to quit. And there are times you're not really sure. You can get your father's security or your father pushing you in your ass, telling you we got to go. So, I just want to kind of put that out there. But hey, let's move on, because we got so many topics.
Your uncle, last thing I'm saying, you know what type of father your uncle was, and you know he was pushing you.
He pushing me. I'm like, you know how many kids you got? Why you over here pushing me, Unc? how I get involved in this? But yeah, that's the way Uncle Mac roll. You out there, boy. It's funny because you and I both played in Southside Little League, and we were on different teams.
I was just about to laugh at you about that.
And if I can remember correctly, I think you played on the Indians in Southside Little Leagues. I think you were on the Indians. I was on the Mets. And your game was over. All of a sudden, I hear this man yelling at me from the stand. Who the hell is? Who the hell is that? That's my damn uncle up there. You gotta made the play. What the hell? So I mean, that's just how black fathers are.
That's why I was sitting here laughing because I remember he's like, "Hit the ball, Jay. Hit the ball, Jason."
It was one time I really did miss a ball. He like, what kind of lazy ass defense? So I was like, oh Lord, let me start playing for this man. Started coming by my house. So all right, let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about what happened Friday. It was Armageddon. I'm sure Irvin probably got hilarious graphics for this. But last Friday at the trade deadline, the Cubs traded everybody. Just to hell with it. They just traded everybody. Chris Bryant went. Javi Baez went. Just Craig Kimbrell went. Tempera went. Anybody they could trade. The
water boy or girl went.
Right. It was a great meme of people said that they were trading David Ross to Jackie Robinson West. So, so last week the Cubs went bananas. They just got rid of absolutely everybody. We kind of knew this was coming, Lance. Even at the beginning of the season, we kind of knew it may happen, but it's still shocking when it actually happens. What was just your thoughts on last Friday when every 30 minutes we were getting a note that someone from the Cubs was being traded?
You know what, Cub? I thought it was an April Fool's joke. Seriously. I started texting you like when you said somebody got traded, I was like, okay, that'll probably be it. Then I think Javier got traded. I'm like, Jay, you serious? I was like, well, that's it. He was like, no. They just traded Chris Bryant got traded. Or however the trades went. Then you started clapping. You like, Kimbrell got traded too. So I said, who did he get traded to? He was like, to us. So I started smiling. I was like, they gave us a relief pitcher too. I said, boy, Jay, I was shocked they traded away everybody. Normally in a firestorm, you see at least two and like some other ancillary players. But you had three guys that's been a focal point of the Cubs for years. So I was shocked. Were you shocked they traded everybody at the same time?
How do I say this? I wasn't shocked that they traded the guys. I was shocked they traded them all on that last day. Like I would have thought they were going to like spread it out, like maybe over a week. And I get that the Cubs had made themselves competitive, but that was like a month ago. So I thought leading up to the trade deadline, maybe we'd start seeing pieces slowly get dismantled. They just did a full, a surgical procedure, a massive surgical procedure all in like 24 hours. And I think that's what made it so shocking for their fans and made it hard for some to accept. Others were like, well, I saw this coming and it needed to be done. I mean, Ivan is our resident Cubs fan here on our show. So, Ivan, why don't you jump on a little bit and tell our audience what you thought? Because you and I had been talking about this for a while, and we kind of saw that it was coming, but it was still just like very aggressive as the way it all went down.
That's it, aggressive.
Right. And you know what? Jed spoke about it and how hard it was. And then he also had spoke a little bit more, kind of shedding light on the fact that maybe both sides weren't really going as hard as they probably should have to keep them. So to me, it's like, the writing was on the wall. The Cubs wanted to go in a new direction. Although I felt like if they were able to keep one or two of those guys on a discount deal, they would have. You know what I mean? I don't feel like like Jed said, he said it perfectly. Both sides weren't trying to go the extra mile. So this is what you have in the end. But also, Jason, it's like bad contracts and bad decisions earlier had caused this, because I felt like you could have gave one of these guys some money. You know what I mean? You could have overlapped the contracts enough to where it's like, maybe we have a Rizzo and maybe a Baez, or maybe we go ahead and just focus on KB because he's the big fish in all this. I just felt like, it was time. The writing was on the wall for about 2 years. the team just couldn't. When your general manager, and I'm talking about Theo Epstein, comes out and says your offense is broken, that speaks to something. Like it speaks, and that was said years ago, but it's still reigned true to up until the moment they all got traded. So for me, go build the next great Cubs team if you can, because I'll tell you this, Jed, with all the promises that you and Theo and everybody made back in when you signed here, and was it 13, 14, those to me, I'm still holding that to light. So you have to go ahead and prove yourself these upcoming years. See if you can field a team that's playoff worthy, or else you're going to be looking for another job.
Ivan, can I ask you and Jason a question? You know, sports these days built on superstars, right? You gotta have a guy. You gotta have that young lady, that man. What star do the Cubs have?
Now,
Wilson Contreras. Now. Wilson Contreras. I mean, Wilson Contreras is the guy. He's honestly, he's probably their most valuable asset.
Let me say this from an average fan point of view. If you're an average fan, who do you identify with?
Well, I agree with Ivan. I think Wilson is a stand-up guy. He was the one who early this season was basically calling out Rizzo and some of his teammates for not really being out there competing. So I think, Wilson Contreras is definitely a guy.
So on a national stage, Jay, would you say he's national? Because I thought like Javier and KB and those guys, I thought they was national. At least one of them, Brian.
They are, but Lance, what do you want them to do? They're not producing like they national stars. At least they wasn't with the Cubs. Now they didn't went to their new teams, and all of a sudden everybody can hit a damn home run.
Well, and also it's Wilson was a rookie, and they were all young, but Wilson was a rookie in 16. And he was already buried underneath those guys. And we all know Wilson's talent. He's top 3 catchers in the league, top 3 possibly. I mean, I know he's one of the better hitting catchers in the league. That's for damn sure. So you gotta think of it like, man, he was buried underneath all these guys. He was just consistently doing what Wilson does, throwing guys out at first, back picking them. Throwing guys out at second with the cannon of an arm he has, running like a madman when he gets a hit. He does everything 110%, and that's what you want. And as a leader, that's what you want. And I feel like Wilson, if they go ahead and focus on him a little bit, if that's the way they go, because honestly, they could trade him and Kyle Hendricks next year. But I don't feel like they want to do that. I feel like they want to have some type of veteran leadership to go help bridge the gap between this past Cubs team and the success that they had and the next great Cubs team, because I feel like Wilson's that kind of a leader. Jason pointed to him, he's a stand-up dude, but I feel like, on the field, he cares 100%. And I feel like that's kind of the mentality that this team needs to head to, is we want to play baseball at 100% all the time.
Well, and let's say this too, Lance, the Cubs, it's not like they didn't get nothing back. Okay, they got Nick Madrigal back from the White Sox in the trade for Kimbrel. They also got Cody Hoyer, who I do think has got some talent as a relief pitcher. He seemed to really struggle this year, but last year he did pretty good. So they got a couple of proven major league players who are young and whose contracts they can afford. And then they made, some other deals, and they're going to get some players back. I think the key to this whole thing, you have to hit on these prospects. Now, I think what the White Sox did when they rebuilt their team, the prospects they got back, they hit on like 80-85% of, which is almost like unheard of, because they're prospects for a reason. You don't know how they're going to turn out. But I mean, if the Cubs can hit on just 50% of what they got back in return, then, this won't be as hard for them as it may seem. But the Jason Hayward contract, which doesn't come off the board until I think next year, he's got one more year left. That one is an albatross around your neck. That's like when we had that dude Adam Dunn on the White Sox, or that James Shields contract, and we couldn't get rid of them guys' contracts. So, a couple of them contracts you just gonna have to eat. But they're gonna have to rebuild their farm system. That's the way it starts, man. You're going to have to rebuild this thing with young players. They've got to get young pitchers more than anything else, though. The White Sox also gave them one of their young pitchers, Plinkinson, who's a lefty, who's got a pretty good upside. So, it's going to depend on what Jed Hoyer did and how well he can hit on these prospects. because you can't free agent your way out of that system. They've got to build this thing from within. And Cubs fans, you about to go through what White Sox went through a few years ago. You're gonna have about 2-3 years of some disgustingly bad baseball. So I know y'all don't necessarily they don't necessarily go to the park for wins anyway. They go for the party and the drinking. Y'all gonna get ready to do a lot of drinking.
That's what's gonna be my next question to you, cuz, right? Man, it's gonna take them about 3-4 years, I think, but you know a little bit better than me to come out of this. And as a fan, are you willing to wait 3-4 years for your team to get better? But I do know also, the more I read, is that it seems like Cubs fans, no matter what, like you said, they're gonna show up and pay for their tickets. And you go to the Cubs game for an experience. From what people tell me, I don't know, but let's see how patient they are willing to be.
Well, yeah, I think without a doubt, their fan base has changed over the past decade. They're no longer the lovable losers. They want to shed that kind of tag to them, and I think that there are going to be some Cubs fans who were like, oh, no, we should have traded them. But a lot of really smart baseball Cubs fans that I know, like Daryl Crater and Irvin and some of the other ones, they kind of like, as much as I love those guys, as much as I will appreciate 2016 for as long as I live, they needed to go. And we needed to do it this way, and it's going to hurt. And it's like ripping a Band-Aid off a wound. And it's going to be exposed. It's going to be pussy. It's going to bleed. It's going to do all that. But I think in the long run, they're going to have to do that. And we're starting to see this in a lot of sports, whether you talk about basketball teams tearing themselves down or people trying to lose. They tried to put rules in place and stop people from tanking. We're starting to see that where organizations are now willing to go into a complete tear down mode to build things back up. So we'll see what's going on there. But hey, we got just a few more seconds left in this segment. Then we're going to bring on our first guest for the day. And once again, we just want to remind everyone, if you're watching us on our YouTube channel, please go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button and let YouTube know that you really like our programming, because we had something happen that we were not intentionally planning. But last week when Simone Biles announced that she was pulling out of the Olympics, and Dominique Dawes was all over the national TV, explaining to everybody what was going on. And as people were searching YouTube, they pulled up our interview that we did with Dominique Dawes back in February. And she talked about so much of the stuff that was going on last week back in February when they changed the scoring system for Biles. She talked about that. She talked about the mental pressures of being on the Olympic team. So all that stuff kind of came to a head. And all of a sudden, our video with Dominique Dawes went viral last week. So we appreciate that. It's just, again, a reminder why it's so important for everyone to like and subscribe if you enjoy what we're doing here, because by doing stuff like that, YouTube notices us. YouTube starts sending us cash, and we can bring in more programming and more guests and keep this thing going. So y'all go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, and Lance and I are going to keep bringing on these guests like this. All right. So we're going to take our first commercial break of the day, and then we are coming back with Brian Tibaldi. He is with the Canton. What's the team name, Lance?
Canton Charge, the affiliate of the Cleveland Cavaliers.
In the G League. And we saw so many G League players get drafted in this draft last week. So we got a lot to talk with Brian about. And for all of you aspiring basketball players and all the aspiring coaches who we know are tuning in, you're getting ready to get some good information. So hang on with us. We'll be back in about 90 seconds. You're watching What's Up, Cuz.
Let's get back to normal. How do we do that? Wear a mask, wash your hands, stand 6 feet apart, get tested, and most important, roll up your sleeve and get the shot.
Get the shot. Get the shot.
Get the shot.
I got the shot. I got the shot.
I got the shot.
I got the shot.
I got the shot.
I got the shot, and so should you.
Right now, the COVID-19 vaccines are available to millions of Americans, and soon they will be available to everyone.
This vaccine means hope. It will protect you and those you love from this dangerous and deadly disease.
I want to go back to work, and I want to be able to move around.
To visit with Michelle's mom, to hug her and see her on her birthday.
You know what I'm really looking forward to is going to opening day in Texas Ranger Stadium with a full stadium.
We've lost enough people and we've suffered enough damage.
In order to get rid of this pandemic, it's important for our fellow citizens to get vaccinated.
I'm getting vaccinated because we want this pandemic to end as soon as possible.
So we urge you to get vaccinated when it's available to you.
So roll up your sleeve and do your part.
This is our shot. Now it's up to you.
Welcome back, everybody. You are watching What's Up, Cuz. I'm your host, Jason Palmer, along with my cousin, the coach himself, Lance C. Irvin. And, before we bring on our first guest, I got a text message earlier today from COVID-19. And he said he ain't no punk, and y'all gonna respect him. So everybody go out there, do what you need to do. Get the vaccine. Please get the vaccine. That's really our best hope of getting out of this damn thing. We're now back to wearing masks. I'm going back to my little personal safety plan that I do with myself and my wife. We're limiting our exposure to a lot of people, and we're wearing masks when we're out in public because there are going to be variants to this virus. There always will be. There's always variants, and now this Delta one is a little bit. It's kind of worse. It's kind of bad, So everybody, we got to be smart out here. We got to get through this, man. I'm trying to get things back to normal way of life, and we're not there yet. We're about 80% of the way there, but if you go out to dinner, for sure we ain't back yet because they can't get enough staff to come back. So we still got some issues we got to work out in this country. So continue to follow those CDC guidelines, try to get the vaccine, do what you need to do. So, all right, you ready to talk some hoops,
well
man?
Said, cousin. Well said.
All right, let's talk some hoops, man. This guy here, he's currently an assistant coach with the Canton Chargers, and he does some scouting for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and he's a longtime friend of yours. Isn't that right, Lance? How far y'all go back, man?
Man, I've been knowing B for about 8 years, probably. So BT is a great guy. Like we talked the other day about some draft stuff, and I said, let's get BT on the show.
There you go.
Great guy, knowledgeable guy. I'm proud of him. And you know why I really like this guy? Michigan State. Who's our favorite? Who's one of our favorite coaches in the Irvin family?
Tom Izzo.
There you go, Izzo. So anybody associated with Izzo, we automatically like.
Excellent. Well, let's bring him on. Our first guest tonight, Brian Tabaldi. Hey, Brian, how you doing, man? We got you on mute.
I'm honored. There we go. I'm honored to be on. Thanks for having me, man.
Man, thank you so much for coming on because, you do a job where, I just laugh at the public sometimes. I think these video games have all got us thinking we can all become a general manager and we know who would be picked and what the skills are. and I keep telling people, you can have a 90 on the video game rating, but that don't mean the scouts see you that way. Yeah. So we just really kind of want you to kind of delve into a little bit about what goes on into scouting players, especially with everything that happened last week. So why don't you just start out by just telling people a little bit about what your job entails and how you kind of got into it?
Yeah. So Lance and I go back a ways, as he said. I coached. I've kind of been in the college ranks. I also was in the pro ranks previously before I even got into college. I worked for the Bulls for a couple years. Prime Derrick Rose, early 2009 to 2011. And then I worked in college for about, 7 or 8 years. Yeah. After that. And that's kind of where I got to know Lance. Great family, obviously, Chicago basketball royalty right there. But I made the transition back into the pro side of things and have been coaching in the G League with, like Lance said, the Cavs affiliate, the Canton Charge. We're actually now making the full-time move to Cleveland, and that'll be great. It's going to be great. Even easier for our players to kind of taxi back and forth. For some of our young players, it's going to be really good. A little bit easier logistically now, but so in the off season, however, we're very involved with the Cavaliers in helping to run the pre-draft process. So draft workouts, we're involved, studying players, making intel phone calls about guys in the draft, just to try to get a sense of not just who they are as players, but what makes them tick as people. So it's when you're investing, these are $1 million jobs. You want it's no different than when you're investing your money in the market or whatever. You want to know as much about that person as possible. There's the playing part, right? And that's important. You got to be good enough, and and you got to fit what your team that you're going to play for, but you also what's your ability to improve, what are your work habits, do you take care of yourself, what are the type of people that you surround yourself with, can you take coaching, all of those things. So it's a really, really involved process, and I'm just a small part of it, because you talk about scouts, that's full-time scouts and general managers and assistant general managers and directors of scouting, that's all they do year round. So and they're starting to see these kids 3 or 4 years ago, a lot of them. So it's a very, very intricate process coming to the decision to select a player. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea of everything that goes into it.
It does. And I just want to do a quick follow-up because I like the way you described it. You said when you're making intel phone calls.
Sounds bad, doesn't it? A lot of them are good. A lot of them are good. Some of them aren't. But
just what are some of the things that you do, and like who are some of the people that you're calling? Like I had a friend who, when we graduated from high school, he went to the Air Force, and 2 years after he was in the Air Force, I get a call from the FBI asking about my friend. And I was like, what the hell did this fool do when he got into the Air Force? And what happened was he was up for a top secret kind of job. So they went back and they were tracing all of his high school friends and people we hung out with just to find out about the character of the job. So I know you don't work for the government, Brian, but when you're doing your intel calls, is that kind of some of the things that you're looking at, and how far do you tend to go back?
Absolutely. No, I think you're looking at, because you want to get a sense of who they, what's made them into who they are, so you want to have a good feel for their background, what's their family like, who are the important people in their lives, what it could be high school coaches, it could be college coaches, it could be an athletic trainer at their college. How does he treat people, so all those things matter when you're really trying to get a feel for the character of a person. So it could be someone as simple as the head coach that they played for, but also someone that maybe you wouldn't think, because you're trying to get a feel for how they treat people too.
BT, thanks for being on the show, first of all. And talking to you a couple of days ago, right, I said, BT, man, the draft coming up, and I told you who y'all were going to take, even though you didn't say it. But I told you guys who you guys should take. But talk to us about what happens in the draft from, like, when your pick is coming up, right? So say first pick goes, second pick, and then you guys up third. What is that experience like?
Well, first of all, we're super excited about who we got third. I think this was a really, really strong draft, and I think, there was 3 or 4 guys that probably would have gone first in any other draft. So we feel like we got a number one, pick with our third pick. Just like tremendous individual, great person, but also like just what he's going to be, in a couple of years. We're really excited. We think he can be a cornerstone piece for us to build around. But it's the interesting thing is like in those situations, our front office does such a good job of playing out every possible scenario that in a lot of ways, I'd say it like, and this is an old Spartan saying, the hay is in the barn. A lot of the work is done, and so exactly, they played out every situation. Okay, if he goes 1, if he goes 2, so what's going to happen. It's just now the reality of it actually taking place, and it's exciting. It's because there's a lot of work that goes into making that happen, and making that selection that you feel really good about.
You know what? I think you guys had a great pick. Evan Mobley, we played him. I was telling Brian when I'm trying to sell BT on a pick, which I was like, BT, y'all gotta take big Evan Mobley. He's solid, he's versatile, he can defend, he can guard the pick and roll. But at the end of the day, how big is it to have a guy that's 7 feet and that's mobile and can guard the pick and roll?
Yeah, those guys are rare. And that's what makes him so unique. That's a great word. I think also, his skill level for someone that size, like his ability to handle a ball, he can really, really pass. I think people are going to also find that he's an even better shooter than maybe he had to show in college. So there's just so many layers to his game, and there's such room for growth too, as he grows and matures. But what you're talking about in particular, like ability to defend the pick and rolls is everything now, right? In the NBA, and really at any level of basketball now, college, high school, you got to be able to defend the pick and roll, but particularly in the NBA. And he's a guy that has the ability to switch, and because he's light on his feet and guard smaller players, but then also can play back and protect the rim as well. And so those guys, they're worth their weight in gold. They make your defense immediately better.
BT, let's talk about coaching a little bit. Like oftentimes, everybody wants to coach. And I remember when I first got into coaching, I thought coaching was just simple. You just show up, you work a guy out, and that's it. Talk to me about what's a day like in the G League coaching.
Yeah, it's been amazing. I can speak to a couple of different experiences, coaching in college, working on the NBA side thing, and then now being in the G League. And you have to, it really pushes you to be adaptable, and that's one of the best things about it. I think based on, most people know who they're going to have on their roster every night. Okay. And like in the G League, you could have a player called up. You could have one of your two ways that the Cavs say, hey, we need him tonight. You don't have, so you could be without a couple of your best players. How do you adjust? And you find that out a couple hours before the game. So it pushes you in that regard to have to adjust. And I think, it makes you a better coach because you realize you can't, there's only so much, there's a lot of things you can't control. And so you just focus on finding solutions, and trying to help your guys as best you can to put them in positions to be successful. And the other thing about it is, the beautiful thing about it, and where it's made me a much better coach, is it is centered around development is at the forefront, and so development, not to say that winning games and playing the right way is important, right? Because you got to want to teach a guy winning habits, but development is the most important thing for us. More important than our win-loss record is, are we developing a player that can help the Cleveland Cavaliers? Because we don't exist without the Cleveland Cavaliers. So sometimes that might mean putting a player in a position that they're not totally ready for yet, right? But it's our job to get them there. Okay, we got to get this guy more comfortable in pick and roll. Like if he's going to be a good NBA player, he didn't play a lot in ball screens in college. We got to get him there, right? Or this guy's a 4. I don't want to get into positions because the game is really becoming more and more positionless. But this guy's like a 4, and we want to make him a wing. Things like that. Like you put development at the forefront, and I think that's the beautiful thing about it. And what you find is it makes your team better.
Which at least Kobe Altman calling you saying, Brian, we need to get this guy better. We need to get this guy better. But I have question. Could you please explain to the audience what's a two-way player?
Sure.
I was trying to explain that to my wife and daughter the other day. I was like, this guy might be a two-way player. She's like, what is a two-way player? So can you explain that real quick for us?
Yeah. So a two-way player, and each NBA team is allowed to have two of them.
Okay.
And they basically they're part. I don't want to say they're part-time NBA players because they are up with the NBA team, but they're not fully guaranteed NBA players at that moment. So like you can have 15 guys on your NBA roster if you choose to. Some don't. Some choose to keep a couple roster spots open for trades and things of that nature. But you can carry up to 15. In addition to that, you can carry two-way players that you can flex back and forth between your G League team and your NBA team. So you might see that guy playing in the G League on Tuesday night, and then Saturday he might be playing for the Cavs, depending on if they have injuries or what have you. So they flex back and forth, and a lot of them end up, if they end up developing how the organization wants, they end up getting a full-time contract potentially at the end of the year heading into the next, or even in some cases they get their contract converted during the season. But it's a great platform, obviously for some of these like undrafted guys, but even last year, and we'll see how the second round picks work this year. There was a number of picks last year that went in the second round that ended up being on two-way contracts. And so it allows the team to say, all right, this guy's interesting, but we don't necessarily want to commit, that full-time roster spot yet. Let's see how he develops. And, so it's a really good development for the NBA. I think it's been useful, and a lot of the teams have, liked what it's yielded. Yeah.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, being joined by Brian Tabali. He is an NBA scout, and he works for the Cleveland Charge of the G League. Brian, a couple of things I want to ask you. What is the one red flag that you'll have that's just almost universal that you have when you're looking at a player? And then what's the one thing that when you see a player who has this one specific quality, you say, I need to really keep my eye on this guy?
Yeah, I think, a red flag, and you try to honestly, like sometimes, when you hear negative things about a player, you want to, sometimes it might just be they rub somebody the wrong way. And so that's why it's important to talk to a number of different people about them, not just say, oh, I heard something negative about them. No, you got to do your work. You got to do your due diligence and talk to multiple people around them. But when you have a recurring theme, when you talk to people that have coached or know are close to that person that says, in regards to work habits, lazy, not coachable, these are things that become problematic because obviously it impacts somebody, and no matter how talented they are, it impacts their ability to improve. So when you start projecting talent, their work habits and their ability to, take coaching become really important. Because if someone is a sponge and someone is willing to put the work in, you can't put a limit on how much they can grow and improve.
BT, I often tell the players there's a couple of things called the kiss of death. If people call you lazy, people say, Jay, you're not coachable. Those two things are the kiss of death. It's hard for you to get picked up. Go ahead, Jay. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's okay. Good question. I guess my second question would be a little bit more about you, Brian, just a little bit of that. People will say, oh, you're an NBA scout. How glamorous or non-glamorous of a life is it to be an NBA scout? Because I would just think this is a lot of time away from your family.
Well,
I think in the G League too.
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly like the G League coaching and then the scouting aspect of it is a grind. And so a lot of people think that's something that they would, I'd be really interested in doing that. But not everyone's cut out for it. Once you are hopping around on commercial flights and working the hours, and you're away from you're away from your family, which can be challenging. And so you got to have, special people around you that really are patient and supportive of what you do. So it's, and I think, at the NBA level, they know that if you're not willing to do it, someone else is. So there's not like, there's a little bit of a weeding out process there that you got to really be passionate about it and willing to put the work in to stick.
And I guess just a quick follow up to that. Sorry, Lance. It's just
go ahead, sir.
When you say it's a grind, what are we talking about in terms of hours, in terms of days spent during the year? Like, give me something like that where people can really understand when you talk about when you say it is a grind.
Well, yeah, you talk about the pro season. Basically training camp will start September 28th this year, and potentially you're going till mid-April. That's the end of the regular season, and then if you're playing deep into the playoffs, you can play all the way to June. So add them up on your fingers. That if you're playing till June, you got July, August, and then you're back into training camp in September. So that's the travel, the game preparation, right? Which is intensive. The practice preparation, the day-to-day commitment to player development that you have. That's you got to be consistent with guys. So but if you love it, you'll never work a day. But I think, for a lot of people that don't know, and then they get into it, they're like, damn, this is a lot more involved than we even realize. And then scouts, they're evaluating people, our front office personnel, it's year round, because they're evaluating the NBA, for free agents. They're evaluating the G League for potential, developmental guys or diamonds in the rough that can help their team. They're evaluating college. They're evaluating grassroots basketball. They're evaluating international. So there's such a large pool of players, and guys are playing at all those levels year round. So it's really nonstop for our front office as far as the evaluation piece goes.
See, I think oftentimes, Jay, people think it's easy to make a NBA roster, a G League roster, or ABA, whatever. It's tough, BT. Talk to us about, and we have the Summer League coming up, right?
Yeah.
Talk to me about how intense the Summer League is for a guy that's trying to make the team, and for a coach like yourself that's maybe trying to move up the ranks a little bit. Talk to us about the Summer League a little bit.
Summer League, yeah, it's an important time. I think for a lot of guys coming out of college, it's their first real taste of pro basketball. And so first impressions are important, right? And so unless you're one of those guys that's a first round pick or, has a guaranteed contract, there's a lot of guys that are trying to play their way into jobs in the Summer League, or at least into a training camp invitation or whatever, into that next opportunity. So it's a really, really important time for them. And then for coaches, it's a great time because they'll be, for example, we'll have an assistant that's coaching our team this year, who'll get a chance to be a head coach in Summer League for 5 games, which is really, really valuable experience. And then a lot of us will get to have responsibilities and take on a little bit more responsibility. So we're lucky, that the Cavs emphasize development at every level, not just players, but development of staff too. So they'll give us opportunities to do some different things and grow that way as well. So it's a crazy couple weeks. We're starting practice tomorrow. So we'll get our guys in and, we'll get 3 or 4 days of practice, and then we'll be out there playing. I believe the first game we'll play against Houston. So that'll be Jalen Green, and Evan Mobley. That'll be fun. An exciting time for all of our guys. But it's just a really good platform, to be for if you love basketball, and like I said, for a lot of those guys, it's their first taste of pro basketball. So it's exciting.
And BT, now you just mentioned Jalen Green, and he came from the G League Ignite. How is that situation? Do you think that's beneficial for a guy like Jalen Green, who maybe didn't want to go to high school and played? I mean, it looked good for him because he ended up being the second pick, but and it was somebody else was picked out of the G League, correct? I think you guys had a couple of guys.
3 of them. Yeah, 3 of them. Sharif Abdur-Rahim has done an amazing job with that program. Yeah, so Jalen Green went second, and then Jonathan Kuminga went 7th.
Kuminga, yeah.
And then the other kid was Isaiah Todd, who went 31. The Wizards. So, no, I think it's really good. I think, one, I'm all for players having options, and I think it's been great for those guys. If they chose, they said they were ready to make that transition to be professionals, and, they went ahead with it. And I think the G League has put together a really good program where they surround them with veteran players. They surround them with, last year, Brian Shaw, who had coached, in the NBA, and a longtime player. He was coaching the team. And then they're playing with NBA rules, okay? So they're playing with the NBA three-point line with defensive 3 seconds, and then also they're playing against, as you said, Lance, a lot of really good players in the G League, a lot of really accomplished college players that are right on the cusp of being NBA players. So you're getting a higher level of competition with the rules, that you're going to be playing with in the NBA. I think it's a great program, and you're seeing it's awesome that these kids have the option to do that. And college basketball will be fine, regardless. But I think it was really good for those kids that got drafted.
Just got a couple more minutes here left with our guest, Brian Tibaldi. And I got to ask you this question before I let you go. One of the things that we've all had concerns about is when the players were leaving, either they were going straight from high school to the NBA or they were doing 1 year college going to the NBA, and they just didn't have the development as a person to be able to handle everything going straight to the NBA. My question is, when they get to the G League, what type of programs are there for them in the G League to help them learn about financial responsibility, about how you should behave yourself and conduct yourself as a professional as well? Because I know, with college, that could be kind of hit or miss. So I was wondering if you all have anything like that for the G League.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They're doing an incredible job with that. So it's a great question. Financial literacy, which is really important, right? And then also just learning the daily habits, learning to become a pro. And so all of those things that go into it, from sleep habits, nutrition, diet, nutrition and diet, they go together, but all of those things you're getting in the G League. It's all there for you. In addition to the financial literacy piece, and the mentorship of, you have the chance to be around some older players too that have been down that path. Who better to kind of advise you a little bit than some guys that have been pros for 5, 6. This past year on that Ignite team, they had Jarrett Jack and Amir Williams, who'd played over 900 NBA games, and they're at the tail end of their career. And they took, who better to learn from for Jalen Green and Kuminga and those guys than guys that have done that for a living for 10, 12 years. And they can tell them, this is what the league is like, they're not lying. And the kids believe them. And so, no, it's a great question. And like I said, I think the person that is running all that is the commissioner of the G League, which is Sharif Abdur-Rahim. He's done an amazing job. I look for that program to I was impressed with what they did this year. I think those kids got a lot better. You saw that with where they were drafted. And it'll be interesting to see how they transition compared to some of the guys coming out of college. Will they transition quicker in the NBA? I don't know that for sure, but my guess is I think they'll have an advantage.
Gotcha. Isn't Ross Strickland helping him with that also?
Sure. He is. Yes. That's right. The Paul Blue Demon.
Yeah,
man, BT, man. Hey, Tom Izzo will be proud of you, BT. I'm going to call Coach Izzo and tell him you did a great job on the show, because I was sitting there like, no, I'm just teasing, man. We appreciate you having us.
We really do, man. BT. Really do appreciate you, Brian. Just a lot of great information we were able to get out to our viewers. So definitely best of luck to you and best of luck to the Cleveland Charge. I'm going to start calling you the Cleveland Charge.
You're on it. No, you know what? Hey, Lance, you're coachable. Jason, at the beginning, you know, you're coachable. You got it right. I appreciate
the Chargers.
The intel is good.
All right, Brian, we appreciate it. You take care of yourself.
Thanks, Jason. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate you guys.
All right, you are watching What's Up, Cuz. We're going to take a commercial break, and then we're coming back. Because he's back by popular demand. Our guys.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
I have looked at track and field in a whole different light now because of this man. But he'll be back. We're going to talk about what's going on over in Tokyo with the USA track and field team. You're watching What's Up, Cuz. We'll be right back.
See me. See me.
See me. See my dark skin and my kinky hair.
See me. Don't see past me.
Don't see through me.
See me.
See my tan skin and my curly hair.
See me.
Don't see past me.
Don't see through me.
See me.
See my face, wet with tears from years of oppression.
See my hands, weathered and worn from decades of pulling myself up through your society.
See my feet, split from centuries of walking your delicate line.
See me.
See me.
See me.
I'm tired.
I'm tired.
I'm tired.
Welcome back, everybody, to What's Up, Cuz. I am your host, Jason Palmer, along with my cousin, the coach himself, Lance C. Irvin. And once again, for those of you who just found out the big news of the day, the Chicago Bulls reached a sign and trade agreement with the New Orleans Pelicans, and they got Lonzo Ball. So they got the point guard that they were looking for. And your guy, what's his name, Sam Zaransky, I think was part of the deal, Lance.
Yeah, they put Zaransky in the deal and Gary Temple also. So, well, there go one of our guys we talked about. Zaransky is gone, but, I mean, somebody has to go. But I thought he played well when he was in Chicago. So, I thought Zaransky did a wonderful job. But, like you said, it's a business, Jay. Sometimes when they call you, everybody get traded. I shouldn't say everybody, but guys get traded, and we know trades happen.
Yeah, without a doubt. So we're going to talk a little bit more Bull stuff in the final segment of the show. But right now, let's go ahead and talk some track and field. Have you been able to watch some of the Olympics, Lance?
You know, yeah, I watched some track last night. I watched the 200-meter hurdles, and I can't think of the name of the young lady I was watching, but she was fast. Woo.
That was the 100-meter hurdles, but that's all right. Yes, it was the 100.
I thought I saw the 200 meters. I thought I saw the 200, but it was the one that was it. That was it. You was right.
Yep. That was Robert Quinn's sister. Robert Quinn from Chicago Bears. That was his sister. There she is. She was representing Puerto Rico.
Wow.
And she won and set a new Olympic record yesterday in doing so. Just beautiful to see. She's from Charleston, South Carolina, but her mother's from Puerto Rican descent, so she represented Puerto Rico. So that's why she was running. So, and that's what we're going to talk to our next guest about, just one of the many topics. Is this something we're going to start seeing more African-American athletes representing other countries in the Olympics? And what is the state of USA track and field? So we're bringing him back. He was on a couple of weeks ago to blow our mind, and I'm sure sure he's going to give us some more knowledge here this time. He is the former head coach of the track and field program at Chicago State and also served as the athletic director there at the Southside University. And we're not going to bring him on because he's got so much experience and so much personality. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Sudi Davis is here. Coach Sudi, what's up, brother? How you doing, man?
My brothers, how y'all doing?
We're doing good,
hey,
man.
Coach, it's great to have you again. You messed my mind up on the last show. I'm just gonna sit back and listen. I got 1,000 questions, maybe, but I'm sitting here just shaking my head.
I'm glad you got some questions because the games are still going on, man. There's so much stuff happening, with all the different sports. But track and field is my favorite, and Lance, my favorite team. I was Chicago State, but I also was the head coach of Chicago State Track Club. That was the one. Woo.
That was the one, Coach. That was the one.
Man, look, hey man, we beat some Olympians. We did a whole lot of stuff. Set world records. We did a lot of stuff with that club.
Coach, who was the biggest athlete I should know on that? Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead, Coach. No, who was the biggest athlete that was a part of the track club?
Kenneth Lowry, 500-meter world record holder, set the world record with us. Also set the world record on the indoor mile relay. So he was the gun. When the Olympians came to the Rosemont Horizon to run this special track meet, they didn't want to let us in. And then they decided one of the world-class quarter milers dropped out, so they needed Ken. So I said, well, if you take Ken, you got to take the rest of my team. So we went over there at Rosemont Horizon and showed out. It's in the history book. Check it out. The Olympians wanted to know where did we get these black folks, he called them Negroes, from, that was jumping on these Olympians. I said, right here in Chicago, waiting on the bus, So they don't understand the talent that we have, and the track club put it out there. Lowry set about 5 or 6 records at Madison Square Garden for the United States indoor championship. So he's been around.
Wow.
Okay. All right. Well, Coach, let's get started here. Let's start, first of all, with a person who was not running for the United States, but I just thought it was an amazing thing that happened yesterday. The runner in the mile, I think she was running the mile from the Netherlands, and she tripped. I believe she tripped and fell down, and at one point was in, last place there. And then all of a sudden, she got back up, and she ended up catching everybody on the final lap to win the heat. I don't know if you saw that particular race, but can you talk to that and what that means for track and field when we see these situations like this occur?
Well, it depends on the talent, but I'll tell you, when you're in a stressful situation, you can do some things that you haven't done before. When you're panicking, you get that rush. You'd be surprised what somebody can do. And falling down, she probably felt like she let her nation down and her country down and her mama down and coaches down. And she got it up, man, and she reached real deep. And she came out, as you say, she caught the folks. So that's phenomenal. I had a team that dropped the relay stick down the stairs and went down there and got it and got back on. We won
down the stairs.
Won the championship. No, seriously. Greatest thing I ever saw done. And the record is still on the board at University of Chicago Fieldhouse. That Fieldhouse has been there since the 1800s. And they asked me, well, Coach, they ran that time, and it's the fastest time I ever ran in the building. What would they have done if they wouldn't have dropped the stick? I say, I don't know. But, they reached down, man, caught the pack. We won by a straightaway. Now, would they have done that if that little thing didn't happen? I don't think so. But it's still up there. The record's still on the board. That was since around the 90s, like 90, 93. It's still on the board.
Wow. That's deep. That's deep. Yeah, I really wanted to start with that story because I thought it was a really cool thing to see. And the Olympics tend to bring out the best in people. But let's talk a little bit about the USA track and field. I'm kind of disappointed in just the program overall in terms of our lack of success so far at this Olympics in both the men's and the women's 100 meters. Talk to me a little bit about what is going on with USA track and field, because I cannot ever recall us finish 7th. We finished 7th in the women's, and we did get a second place finish in the men's 100 meters.
Yeah. And that was a big thing because they said boat wasn't there, so this guy had a chance to win it. But you got these other people talented and they got a little help, so things happen. But I want to reflect back before we start to the women's 100 meters.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys watch that final?
I did.
Okay. Well, when they put the camera on the ladies' faces, there was one who couldn't really look at the camera. She almost looked a little embarrassed, like she didn't want to look up. She just, because everybody's saying she's 30-something years old and she's out there running with the young girls.
Mm-hmm.
And when the gun went off, I guess you saw some of the things I talked about last time. You saw 3 girls just stand up and just blow everybody away, and it looked like they wasn't really running.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, they finished 1, 2, 3.
They did.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to remind you guys what we talked about last time.
Hey,
yeah,
Coach.
I did. I hear you.
Coach, because I promise you, I watched one event, and you know how you said, like, you got, like, I think you said the first 20 meters, and you got people looking back, smiling at people, right? And I watched a couple of races. I said, this what Coach was talking about. This what Coach, and a couple of them finished the race now, Coach, and was not breathing hard at all. They let up off the gas, and this was in the semifinals.
Walked around, waved like I told you, ain't no problem. But, some of these races take a lot of stamina.
That's what I was going to ask you, Coach.
400-meter hurdles, girls and guys, when they get through, they looking at the board so much, they just, and other people laying on the ground. So when I see the men's 100, that was a close race. That's the kind of race you're looking for. That's a more level playing field. A lot of the men who we thought about, who probably in the last games or whatever weren't there, they didn't make the team. Okay, they had some problems, but the 100-meter men kind of looked okay. 100-meter women, nah. 200's coming on. I don't know what's going to happen there. It's getting crazy. I had to get home tonight to turn the TV because so many stations got so many stuff, and it comes on late at night, early in the morning, and I'm out here trying to figure out. It's difficult. But I thought you guys were going to call me on Tuesday, actually, because that's the day after a lot of finals. And you can really talk about what you saw. I like the girl who ran for the other country, who's an American.
Jasmine Camacho Quinn. Yeah.
Those kind of things are happening because, you got these mixed families now. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And you can kind of do that. But that girl was very talented. The men's hurlers. I saw the long jump.
I was going to ask you about that.
I'm very disappointed in the Olympic team. I feel like a lot of people peaked last year. They peaked last year, and they had to come back and try to do it this year. Throws your timing off, throws your training off. A lot of stuff comes around. It's just not giving me the fulfillment that you normally would see. Like you were saying, you see a USA team, they out front doing this and that. Brother, these other countries are caught up, like just like in basketball. You got all these D players from all over the world. We ain't got no big men. They got the big men. They killing us down there. We don't play it that way anymore. Coach, we play 5 out or whatever, and damn, the tallest guys bring the ball down, then he's shooting the 3. The guards are looking at that dude. The big team, the other teams are playing. The big guys down on the block. They doing what they're supposed to do. Rebounding, banging. There's Marlon's not that guy. We don't have.
And so you say, and so you saying,
we got some kids. They peaked. They thought the Olympics was going to be last year, and it didn't happen. So it went another year. Now you got to get your talent back. Whatever you're doing, training good or taking help, whatever you're doing, didn't happen. It didn't time it right. They didn't get out of the trials, a lot of them. So we got the young kids who got out of the trials. Now they running against people who got the same little help and other stuff. And you see what you got. It's a mess. Why did I quit track and field? I had to get out of it, man, because it was just too much. I didn't want to see a guy in a grocery store that used to run for me, and he tell me, meet my son, and he got 3 years or something. I can't go through that.
Coach, let me ask you this, Coach. Go ahead.
We need to clean it up.
Okay.
They need to clean it up.
Let me ask you this, Coach. From a technical standpoint, right? Say if I'm running the 100-meter hurdles, and then I'm coming to run the 200-meter hurdles the same day. How much time do I need? The 200.
Right.
How much time do I need? 200. How much time do I need to rest in between those events to be successful or to be at my maximum?
Well, it depends on how you were trained. See, your rest period between your intervals that you run at practice, the coach they can get you to recover in might be 5 minutes, 10 minutes to run the same pattern you ran before, but that don't mean you're gonna be at your peak. So if you got a day or some hours, you can come back. That's not a problem.
Okay.
You can come back. But some of them act like they don't need no rest.
Yeah.
Now I tell you what I enjoyed. I enjoyed the mile relay for the women. Okay. Gold medal. They took it out. They slammed it. The 2 400-meter hurdle girls ran in the middle and they put it together. They won by about 50 yards. Okay. Looked good. The Jamaicans thought they was gonna get second. They wound up getting, I think, third if they medal. Okay. So repetition is something that you do in practice. For instance, the guy Lowry I told you about, we went to New York and he ran the 500 meters and ran the fastest time that he ran before, set a new record. Then later on that afternoon, let's say he ran that at 9, at 11, Lowry went out, ran the 400, ran the fastest time that he ran before. He set another record. So that night in the finals, the 500 was at 9 o'clock and the 400 final was at 9:02. We knew that going in. He always qualified for both, but we only won one in the final. Well, this time we said we're going to do the Ironman. We practiced enough. He had 3 or 4 minutes recovery time before he could go back and repeat. He didn't win the 400. He won the 500, but the 400 he finished 3rd out of 4. So I mean, I had to put some ice on him, go down there, rub him down. He said, "Just put me on the line." Push him back on the line. He took off. So recovery time is something that can be done. It's not that big.
Okay. Let me ask you this, because the other thing that we saw is a former 400-meter runner then switch and run the 100-meter for the United States, and he finished in 2nd place. How difficult was that for him to do?
Huh? I couldn't look. Let me say something to you. You're not gonna get a Volkswagen to get in the race. Okay.
Oh, there he is. Okay.
If it's been a Volkswagen for a long time, you come up like that. See, the only person out there can coach something like that, you gotta have a halo on his head. I ain't seen nobody out there coaching with no halo on their head. So it's interesting. What was he running? The 400?
He was running the 400, and then he switched to the 100.
Yeah. No.
Okay. Let me ask you this then. Let me ask you.
Look, he can run the distance, but is he gonna be the man? No.
Is that because lack of training or what? I mean, you would think if I'm a novice, Jay, right?
Okay.
400 is a little longer than. Go ahead, Coach.
Michael Johnson was the fastest in the 400 meters, right?
Right.
He went down and raced in the 200 meters.
Yeah, he did.
Badly won. He got it done, right? You think he could have gotten 100 meters? I ain't going down there. It's a whole different click, man. It's a whole different game. You don't go down there and mess with them guys because you're a quarter miler. Now, 1968 team, and this is true, they had a lot of talent. The best team, I think those records should still be standing. They had the best talented team. They had so many guys, they just didn't let them run everything. They gave everybody something to do. There was one guy on there, I think is the toughest guy, and I talked to him the other day, toughest guy on the team, and he started laughing when I told him, John Carlos. John Carlos. 200, the 400, the 4x1, and the 4x4. That was a rarity. Did he get in the 100? No. Did they put him? He ran the 2, and that was it. And when Tommy Smith ran around the corner and was beating him, because Tommy Smith had never beat him before, Carlos started laughing in the race. And if you look at the race, you'll see him. He said, look at that Tommy. He never beat me before. So would they take him and put him in the 100? No. So when you come back and do something like that, it's always questionable.
Okay. All right. Let me ask you this. They're also trying a lot of new stuff in the Olympics. And one of the new events is the kind of like the mixed relay teams where you have the co-ed racing going on.
I saw that.
I want to know what was your... Oh, yeah, that's brand new. I want to know what were your general thoughts on that. Are you for that? And what can that do for track and field?
Well, I think it's always good to mix it up a little bit. Something that the girls can compete on and the guys together. It kind of brings the whole Olympic team together, you know. You know why they got disqualified, right?
Yes, I did hear why they got disqualified, but then they appealed it and then they got it overruled.
Well, the official put them in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
Okay.
He put the girl there. She stayed there. And she ran. So they like, no, what the official did, oh, well, they appealed and they said, okay, we'll let them in the fight. They did pretty good, you know. I think it's going to be a fun thing. And you probably will see some of the older Olympians, not older, but Olympians who didn't make the 4x1 or the court run that relay, you know. I mean, it just opens up another avenue for events. They probably help our team, but our team needs a lot of help, man. We need a lot of help.
Coach, you keep saying that, right? In terms of a lot of help, do we need like better coaches, better training? Are the athletes older? Go ahead.
Yeah, the phone kind of hooking up a list.
Okay.
To me, training for Olympic Games is a lot of timing. You have to schedule your time. You have to schedule your training so you can peak at the right time. That's why I said they shouldn't have had this Olympics. This Olympics is crazy. Okay? And it looks crazy. Maybe we don't need all the help I think we do. Maybe we just need to make sure we have it when we say we're going to have it. COVID busted that thing up. Everybody was off. You got Bio. She can't compete. She's getting lost in midair. She can't feel what she's doing. Last year, she was popping. She backed out. Now she's gonna be on tonight in the balance beam. Okay, she can probably handle that. But if this would have been last year, it'd have been a wrap. Even people who took help, they had their schedule. They'd have been popping. They'd have been ready. But when you extend it, now you got to try to reschedule that stuff to peak at the right time. Training, whether you got a little help or whatever, it ain't gonna work. So it's looking real crazy out there, man. Long jump, triple jump coming up, all this stuff.
You would think, Coach. Help me on this, because you would think we keep talking about peaking, right? And I understand a little bit about peaking, but you would think like an extra year, you train a little bit more, and you would be fine. Would you think, Jay? You wouldn't think that?
I would, but I'm not a track coach.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking, because you would think, Coach, I got time to get a little bit stronger. How much time do you need to peak for Olympics?
Watch my hand. There's a peak. You go up, right?
Yeah.
At the top. You start to what?
Go down.
Come down. You don't go up and stay and go all the way across. No. You go up. You start to decline. You come down. So to get up again is hard. In 4 years, 2 years, a good training system, 2 years can put you where you want to be. But then to pop it off and the next year I'm gonna be on top of my game again. Nah. Basketball, track, no. Swimming.
So, Coach, if I'm training for the 2020 Olympics, I needed to start training in 2016 to be at my peak, or 2017?
2018 is what he's saying.
2018?
You run in 2020, around 2017, 18, you need to understand, after 2016, you say, look, the Olympics in 4 years, I want to be ready. I'm going to get on the track. I'm not going to try to just get to the top right then. I'm going to build my system. I'm going to build myself. I'm going to try to build my time or watch my times drop a little bit at a time. My workout's going to be different. I just can't go in and have a hard workout and keep that hard workout all the way until 2020. I'd be crazy. I've been fell apart. So it's a point of peaking, point of running your personal best at certain times, doing your calendar as you set it up, because you can't stay on top all the time. Everybody can't believe that everybody's like boat. Top all the time. Okay, stay on top all the time. No. Sprinters can't stay on top all the time. What sprinter you know stayed on top for 4 or 5 years just running over everybody? When you hear stuff like that, you gotta go like, what? He's on peak for how many years? So that one girl been to the Olympics from Jamaica, what, 4 times?
Yeah, Shelly been there like 3-4 times, yeah.
They put the camera on her face. Watch. Look, she's saying. They say, Shelly, she said, can't look at the camera, man. Come on, guys. Come on now. Come on, you're looking at it.
And Sudi, let me ask you this then. So let me ask you this then, because now we're going to only have 3 years until the next Summer Olympics now. So what is that going to do for their training? Now they got a shorter amount of time.
Well, first of all, they need to back off a little bit. Then they got like 2 years to put it together. So it depends on your coach. It depends on his training scheme. But then for some of these athletes, a lot of them going to have to move to a better weather climate because it's difficult, man. You know, see, being in the Midwest, man, I trained some athletes and they want to know how I did it because we were inside. We never got outside. It was cold. In April, man, it's snowing. We're at Drake Relay. They shoved the snow off the track. We outside running with shorts and stuff on in the snow. Down in California and Texas and Florida, year round, brother, it's 70, 75, 80 degrees. We up in sub-zero weather inside trying to get something done. So when you get an athlete from the Midwest to go out and do something great, hey, man, they've been humping, brother. They got a hell of a system because you got to put a system together where you can train that athlete in this weather.
See, Coach, now you mentioned Tuesday is a big day for track and field, right? You said Tuesday is the day. What can I expect, or who should I be looking for on Tuesday so I can say a Sudi Davis specialty when I'm watching on Tuesday? Who should I be looking for?
Well, I'm trying to check out this triple jump stuff that's going on because the boy, one of the kids made the team in the high jump and the long jump. Hadn't been done since Jim Thorpe way back in whenever. And he wiped out, man. He came in like 5th in one event and 7th in the other. Okay. He was sitting on the side of the bench just looking, you know, and it's rough. It's rough out there. So, you know, I want to see the men's 400 hurdles. Check them out.
Okay, 400 hurdles.
It's gonna be hot. It's gonna be hot. Both the guys was cruising to the line. Our guy was cruising. He shut it down after the hurdle, and the other guy just ran up, trying to they was qualified. Just wanted to run by him anyway. He just looked at him. I said, "Oh, this gonna be interesting." Any of the other events, the finals, we don't have a lot of, and what Jason said, we don't have a lot of Americans in a lot of some of these finals. And that's what we're used to. We got like one or none. And we're not used to that. So this whole thing was kind of, to me, I don't think they should have had it. We weren't ready. So it's a toss-up. It's just, but watch that 400-meter hurdle, man. It's going to be, might be on today. I'm looking. I got the television on right over here, man. While I'm talking to you guys,
I hear you, Stu.
Find one event, I had a fit, you know. So, it's fun trying to watch it like this because they got so many networks and everybody's doing stuff late or it's early there or it happened yesterday and you just seeing it, and while you're looking at it, another channel flashed across who won. He said, "This is going on right now." Peacock, Channel 5, Olympic Channel. I got all of them. I got 3-4 TVs going. I can't keep up.
I hear you, Sudi. Sudi. Hey, man, thanks a lot for joining us again. Help us break down what's going on with track and field. And we're going to keep watching here. We know we got a couple more events these last 2 days. But thanks so much, man, for joining us and breaking it down.
Look, when it's over, we can talk, because then you'll know.
Yeah, exactly. I can't wait.
I
can't
you
wait.
brothers be good, man.
All right.
Thanks, Coach.
Sudi Davis, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, Coach Sudi. Yeah, man. Sudi bring it to us, man. He bring it real. So we've got one more segment left in the show, and Lance and I are going to go for about another 15, 20 minutes. We got a couple more topics we need to get to that we did not get into in our opening segment.
Perfect.
So we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back for the last segment here. You are watching What's Up, Cuz.
Right now, the COVID-19 vaccines are available to millions of Americans, and soon they will be available to everyone.
This vaccine means hope. It will protect you and those you love from this dangerous and deadly disease.
I want to go back to work, and I want to be able to move around.
To visit with Michelle's mom, to hug her and see her on her birthday.
You know what I'm really looking forward to is going to opening day in Texas Ranger Stadium with a full stadium.
We've lost enough people, and we've suffered enough damage.
In order to get rid of this pandemic, it's important for our fellow citizens to get vaccinated.
I'm getting vaccinated because we want this pandemic to end as soon as possible.
So we urge you to get vaccinated when it's available to you.
So roll up your sleeve and do your part.
This is our shot.
Now it's up to you.
Welcome back, everybody, to What's Up, Cuz, for our final episode. I'm sorry, final segment, not final episode. Our final segment of this week's show. And Lance, let's talk a little bit about, let's go back and talk about last Thursday and just Io and him being drafted. You were lucky enough to be there at the actual draft party. I just wanted you to kind of talk to our audience a little bit about what that experience was like in terms of you being able to be there and share this young man's dream coming true.
You know, first of all, Jay, I'm happy. I was happy for Io, and I was happy for his whole family, right? You know, when you coaching somebody at a younger age, right, you always want them to be able to realize they dream, and you want them to reach their dream, right? And just having the opportunity to see him and just to see how happy he was when he got picked. Like when they called his name, Jay, the people in the room, Chance the Rapper, everybody just started going nuts, right? And you almost like, you know, I'm looking at Nick almost crying over that. Nick had a sport coat on. That's what type of event it was. And you know, your cousin never wears sport coat. So just seeing him get picked, it was refreshing. But prior to him getting picked, like you sitting there, Jay, on the flip side of it too now, you sitting there saying, this guy get picked, another guy get picked, and you're like, damn, I so up there with him. Like the first couple of, you know, the first 15 picks go, I think we were expecting like 17 through 30. Like we figured he'd be in the first round somewhere. So then the first round goes by, you like, man, come on. We need him to get picked. 32 passed, Jay, and then I started getting nervous a little bit. I'm like, come on, ISO better than this. So then when they picked him, though, I was happy that the Bulls picked him because I knew for a fact he had an opportunity to play. Because one of the things people kept talking about, like we mentioned earlier, is that they think the Bulls guard play need to get a little bit better. So Io is his proven winner. And, you know, we think that it's a great opportunity for him to play that. And just when we walked in, saying his father, Q, and you remember the last question I sent you, I think I sent this video. The last question is, what Q, you like the dress, how you looking? So I stepped in there, Jay, right, I turned the corner. He waved at me, I waved at him. So I go over there, I said, ooh, you wasn't playing with it tonight. Yeah, Jay had on this tight-fitted suit. Everybody always teased me about wearing a skinny suit. Had a skinny suit on, looking smooth, tailor-made. I see his mom, Jam, have on a nice fitted outfit. Sisters, everybody was dressed to the nine. So I'm happy for him, happy for his family. And just knowing that we had the opportunity to help somebody reach their dream was huge. But it was a nice party, Jay. Once he got drafted, the music started playing. They started playing songs. I was like, damn, I ain't heard of that song. So I got home and I had to download one of the songs. I made some money and whatever. Now that's my jam now. So it was a great experience.
So I wanted to ask you, I saw the video clips. I saw a lot of pictures from everyone who was at the draft party. How many people were there?
Man, Jay, a couple of hundred probably.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It was a nice crowd.
I wasn't sure the location of where he had it.
It was at the Bracket Room on 13th and Hofstra Street. So it was a nice venue. They had a DJ. I mean, they had food, of course. I mean, it was a nice crowd. Like I said, I think 200. I mean, probably more than that. I don't know what type of fire code they had, but it was great. His teammates from U of I was there. Coach Underwood was there. Kofi was there. DeMonte Williams was there. All his teammates came down to support him. A lot of friends, a lot of family.
So in those moments leading up to him getting drafted, because we were all expecting Ayo to go probably anywhere between 21 and maybe 28. And when he started getting down near 28, and I was watching with the wife, and we both getting a little nervous. I was like, oh, okay, come on now, somebody pick him. And then when he didn't go in the first round, I was like, oh my goodness, because I'm thinking, he's about to lose a lot of money just not being a first round pick. Just were you around Ayo about that time, and can you just describe a little bit of what his demeanor was like? Because you go in there thinking you're going to be picked at a certain time, and you're not.
I could see him from the area because I was up there first. They had a VIP section, so I was up there first. But I could still see him.
VIP over here.
Hey Jay, now your cuz had to slide up there, and just see what was going on up there. Out of sight, out of mind. So I want everybody to know I was at least there, right? No, but I think his demeanor never really changed. Like he was up there with his brother and with Dre, who went to school with us in Morgan Park. His demeanor never changed. Now, everybody else, you should have saw how Coach Underwood had a look on his face. We all trying to be composed, Jay. We all sitting there like, but everybody else, like people know basketball, we're like, dang, where we going? When he going? Tell you, we like the first round over with. I thought I was dreaming. I said, did they not call nephew's name? I always like our little nephew.
Sure.
I said, did they not call nephew's name? But one thing that kept helping me out, Jay, was I was like, man, the Lord has a plan for everybody. So it's in his plan. But no, his demeanor never changed. And you see, at this point, he's still saying the same stuff. I'm happy Chicago. I love that I'm home. But let me ask you a question, Jay. Do you like guys from Chicago staying at home to play for the hometown team?
I think it's always a good thing. I think it all depends on how they handle the situation. I thought Derrick Rose did a great job of handling being from Chicago and playing in Chicago. I thought Eddie Curry did a horrible job of being from Chicago and playing in Chicago. I also think that, Eddie and Derrick come from two different backgrounds. They have different support systems. I also think that, Eddie was very immature when he came into the NBA, even though he's a very large guy. And I think some of his immaturity led to a lot of poor decisions when he got with the Bulls off the court. And that affected him on the court. Whereas I think Derrick had Reggie, protecting over him and handling a lot of things. And, I think Ayo does have that kind of personality where he's really balanced. And so it's going to be very interesting how he handles it. It's the key word for Ayo that I would just advise him of is that he's going to have to learn the word no. He's going to have to learn that word and be able to tell that to people who he loves and people who support him. And then we're going to have to understand when he says the word no, because he still has his own career and things that he needs to do. So, no, I can't get you no tickets to this. No, I can't do this. No, I can't do this. No, well, I need you to say yes when we need to have you on What's Up Cuz in a couple of weeks.
Exactly.
No, he's going to have to say no a lot to a lot of people. And he's going to have to do that for his own sanity and so that he can get down and develop. You know, we were really trying to get Io on this week's show, but you know, we want to give him a little bit of room to breathe and let the Bulls kind of take the lead with us. But we're going to have Io on the show for our fans. We just want to put that out there. It is going to happen, but we're not going to add to the frenzy, so to speak. We know we can get Io. That's not going to be a hard get for us. So we will get it when it's appropriate for him and appropriate for us. And it's going to be a hell of a show when we do. So
plus,
I'm glad
the Summer League is coming up too. So,
right,
you know, we don't want nothing to interfere with his good showing.
That's right.
In the Summer League. And I might be in Vegas for the Summer League. I know Nick and I talked about going. Mikey talked about going, you know, because normally we support our kids, Jay, right? I mean, everybody that's been through the Mac Irvin Fire program, kids play for Morgan Parker, kids play for Whitney Young. Most of the time, kids that we know, we try to support, especially if we know they're trying to do well for themselves and well for the community also.
Sure. So, you know, I just think it's just a really proud moment. And, you know, I cannot remember this being a more exciting week for Chicago sports, and none of it happened on the playing field. I mean, think about everything. Seriously, think about everything that's happened over the past week. Okay, the Blackhawks started off. The Blackhawks got Seth Jones, and they got his brother, Caleb.
He got his brother.
Okay, so that was big news. The Blackhawks were all in the news. You know, we know Taves is coming back. Alex DeBrincat got married. They were there partying, doing that. So that was big news with the Blackhawks. Then we had the White Sox making trades, adding pieces to their championship run. Then we had the Cubs completely tearing up their team and seeing that we're going into rebuilding. We had the Chicago Bears who started training camp. So you got all that, and all the excitement is going on around Justin Fields. And then you get the Bulls who draft Io, and then today they trade for Lonzo Ball. And then we got some more breaking news, Ivan. What was it? It looks like they just signed somebody, Ivan. Did we have it?
Yeah, Alex Caruso, 4 years, $37 million to the Chicago Bulls. That just happened about like 5, 6, 7 minutes ago.
Oh, so see, there you go. So it's just been a really exciting time right now to be a sports fan for the city of Chicago, because there's so much going on here at one time, man. I mean, it's just unbelievable what's going on. And then you got the Olympics taking place too. So, I mean, I'm in like sports overload. My wife gonna shoot my ass because I'm just all over the place. But, you know, it's just a very exciting time to be a Chicago sports fan. And, you know, all this stuff is on paper, the guys, and still got to go out there and execute once they get on the field, though. But we do have a bright future here with Chicago sports. So, you know, we'll just see where it goes going forward.
We do, Jay. And like you said, it was an interesting week in sports. Looking forward to stuff happening. I actually went out to the 60-40 too, so you can add that out to the week in sports. Went out to the 60-40, Jay. Saw my people out there. So no, just looking forward to that, Jay. But let me ask you this though: what's up with our Sox? What's up with our Sox with this stretch run? Break it down for me, really.
So I think the White Sox are in a great position. They did take 2 or 3 from Cleveland. They lost that one game, 12-11. I was at that game. That was just ridiculous. Everybody was just scoring all over the place. You know, they had a 12-11 loss to Cleveland, but they took 2 out of 3 from the Cleveland team. And they're going to play Kansas City, and then they taking on the Cubs. Well, Kansas City is a last place team. The Cubs have just dismantled their whole team. And then they go to Minnesota. They dismantled their home team. And then the weekend after that, they got 3 against the Yankees. So I should see for these next 9 games, I'm expecting the White Sox to win at least, I'd say probably 6. But they could win as many as 8. But they should definitely be winning at about a 66% percentage here and putting this division away. I would say probably by – you know, that first week of September, they probably will have this division almost wrapped up because they've just going to annihilate everybody. But the Yankee series is going to be a great series. That's going to be a litmus test for them. And I'm looking forward to checking it out. I'm going to probably go to one of those games on probably that Saturday night game and check it out in person. I will let you know so I can get
I was about to say, you got to carry your cuz. I'm like, this show is what's up, cuz? I mean, I mean, dang, that's the least you can do. Okay, I don't have to say anything then. Okay.
Yeah. So we'll
Okay.
probably go check out the Yankee series. That should be a good series. So, all right. Well, that's going to do it for this week's show. We're going to break here a little bit early so that we can watch some Olympic action. There's a lot going on. Sudi was showing us the track and field is running. So we're going to get in front of our TVs and start watching. But everybody, be sure to tune in next Monday for What's Up, Cuz. We'll talk down some more sports. We'll break down the end of the Olympics, and God knows who else is going to get traded in basketball because free agency just happened, and we got Bears training camp that started. We'll get you prepped for the Bears' first preseason game, which is in 12 games against my side beast team, the Miami Dolphins. So we got a lot of stuff coming in to talk about. So for my cousin Lancey Irvin, I'm Jason Palmer. Thanks for tuning in to What's Up, Cuz. We'll see you all again next week. Peace out.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise. High as the listening skies, let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun, we will march on till victory. We will march on till victory. Let us march on till victory. Hey.